University, China.
Good morning, madam.
Ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Bhuvneshri from Madras University.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Good morning. This is Shyam Sundar from Breaks India.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Hi, Bhuvna. Good morning.
Good morning. Congratulations, Anita.
அந்த சேர் எடுத்துங்கம்மா, அந்த சேர் அங்க எடுத்துங்கம்மா, அந்த சேர் அங்க.
Sir, Manoj, sir. This is Rupa here. Good morning, sir.
Hey, hi, Rupa. How are you?
Yeah, fine, sir. Ma'am, Dhanalakshmi, ma'am. Good morning, Dhanalakshmi, ma'am.
Can you hear me? Good morning.
Yes, good morning, ma'am. Now I can hear you, ma'am. Thanks for joining us, ma'am.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Anita, HOD sir has already joined the group. Anita?
Good morning. We welcome you all to this August occasion. It gives me immense pleasure to extend to you a warm and cordial welcome to all the dignitaries on behalf of Departments of Commerce, Shri Krishna Swami College for Women for this two-day virtual international conference on recent advances in sustainable practices, social innovations, and entrepreneurship. We all are indeed delighted to participate in this conference today. Let us begin the program on an auspicious note. I now invite Ms. Shri Swarnalata and Ms. Kripa Shankari to invoke the prayer song. Kindly rise for Tamil Thai Varthu.
நீராறும் கடலுடுத்த நிலமடந்த கெழிலொழுகும் சீராறும் பதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் அது சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனங்கே தமிழனங்கே உன் சீரிழமை திரும்பி எந்த செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே.
It is our proud privilege and fortune to have Dr. R. Rangarajan, Dean, College Development Council, Professor and Head, Department of Commerce, University of Madras. A renowned speaker, motivator, facilitator who stands tall amidst the galore of educationists. Sir, I now request you to deliver with the welcome address.
Good morning to one and all. At the outset, I'm very happy that the Krishna Swami College and University of Madras jointly working together Sorry, I think it was muted. Well, very good morning to one and all. I'm very happy to be with you, and I'm very happy that Krishnaswamy College for Women and Department of Commerce, University of Madras is jointly working together on two-day international conference on the recent trends in sustainable practice, social innovation, and entrepreneurship. After the year of 2020, the Department of Commerce, all the faculty, and myself, we have decided to closely work with the affiliated colleges. In that process, we have already initiated and we have already worked with several colleges. And one among these is a very proud moment today to work with one of the best city college in Chennai, Krishnaswamy College. We are working on this together. And I'm also happy to announce you that we are all ready to work with any institution academically for both conferences, research, and teaching activities. And with this starting note, I welcome the management committee members, Sri M.A.K. Balakrishnan, Chairman and MD, Krishnaswamy Educational Trust. I welcome K.B.K. Rajmohan, Trustee and Director, Krishnaswamy Educational Trust. I welcome to K.B. Arun, Trustee and Director, and I welcome to K.B. Krishnanan, Trustee and Director, and I welcome Dr. R. Revati, Dean, and I welcome Dr. Anita Rajendran, Principal of Krishnaswamy College. And I'm duty bound to welcome the resource persons of Day 1 and Day 2, CA Manoj Vembu, Chartered Accountant, Singapore, Founder and Managing Director of ERV Global Private Limited. And then Mr. S. Shamsundar, Senior Vice President, Breaks India Limited, Chennai. Dr. A. Dhanalakshmi, Professor, School of Foreign Studies, North Campus, China. Tunisia University, China. And the resource person of Day 2, Dr. Nisha Chanana, Assistant Professor, DICFOI, Himachal Pradesh. And Dr. Gosaka Yagaparaj, International College, Malaysia, Trine University, USA. And I'm happy to welcome my colleagues, Dr. Shanti, Dr. Yuvraj, and Dr. P.S. Bhuneshwari, who is closely coordinating with this event. And I welcome all the faculty members of Krishnaswamy College. And I welcome all the teaching and non-teaching faculty persons from the University of Madras and other colleges. I welcome the research scholars. I welcome the students of my department and also the Department of Commerce of Krishnaswamy College. I welcome each and every one of you for this two-day international conference. And on behalf of the University of Madras and Department of Commerce, I wish a very great success of this two-day conference. And I hope that this will definitely contribute addition to the value of academic knowledge. Once again, I thank especially Dr. P.S. Bhuneshwari, my colleague, Dr. Anita Rajendran, the principal of college, Dr. Revati, and all the other coordinators, head of the Department of Commerce and other faculty members, those who are tirelessly working this. And finally, I thank the management of Krishnaswamy College for permitting and supporting this event. Thank you one and all. Have a nice day. Jai Hind, Valga Tamil.
Thank you, sir, for your words of welcome. Now I request Principal Dr. Anita Rajendran, Sri Krishnaswamy College for Women, for setting the tone of the conference.
Very good morning. On behalf of our management, Thiru M.A.K. Balakrishnan, Chairman and Managing Trustee, Krishnaswamy Educational Trust, Trustees and Directors, Shri K.B.K. Rajmohan, Shri K.B. Arun, Shri K.B. Krishnanan, Dean, Dr. R. Revati, staff and students. I extend warm welcome to all. and thank Professor Dr. S. Gauri, Vice Chancellor, University of Madras, Dr. R. Rangarajan, Professor and Head, Dean in Charge, CDC, and Dr. P. S. Bhuvneshwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce, University of Madras, for collaborating with our college for conducting this 2 days virtual international conference on recent advances in sustainable practices, social innovations, and entrepreneurship. I'm extremely honored to have Mr. C.A. Manoj Vebu, Chartered Accountant, Singapore, Founder and Managing Director of VRV Global Private Limited, Singapore. Mr. R. Shyam Sundar, Senior Vice President, Bakers India Limited, Chennai, and Dr. A. Dhanalakshmi, Professor, School of Foreign Studies, North Campus, Wenzhou University, China, for being part of our inaugural function. The conference aims to provide common platform to all, the leading academic scientists, researchers, and research scholars to exchange and share their experiences and research ideas in developing and redesigning strategies, sustainable practices, and social innovations in business environment. The rapid technological changes and increased globalization has swept away industry, market conditions that previously defined competitive conditions. Such environment requires developing and recreating strategies, sustainable practices, and innovations that respond quickly to these rapid changes. Therefore, there's a need for dynamic, clear, stringent, and predictable goals for the future. This online international conference will allow deliberations from a variety of perspectives to deal with challenges and strive to propose strategies to stimulate growth and development. This conference intends to bring together many philosophies under one roof and provide a forum for exchanging ideas, strengthening research ties, and establishing worldwide connections for future collaborations. The conference theme and sub-themes are representative of significant study areas in marketing, human resource management, finance, innovation and entrepreneurship, general management, and humanities, to provide authors with novel perspective on the subject matter. For this conference, in total, we received 154 papers, of which in marketing we have 55, HRM 34, finance 29, innovation and entrepreneurship 20, general management and humanities 60. I wish good luck to all the presenters. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I request Dr. R. Rangarajan, Dean, College Development Council, Professor and Head, Department of Commerce, University of Madras, Dr. Shanti, Associate Professor, Department of Commerce, University of Madras, Shri K.B. Arun, Dr. Anita Rajendran, Principal, Shri Krishnaswamy College for Women, to release the proceedings of the conference. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I now invite Ms. Anubala, Head, Department of BCom, Information System Management, to introduce Mr. Manoj Vembu.
A very good morning to all. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our first guest speaker, Mr. Manoj Vembu, Chartered Accountant, Singapore, founder and managing director of BRB Global Private Limited, which is a mining to trading group. He is an alumnus of University of Madras and completed Chartered Accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He is a qualified information system auditor and certified advanced software and database programmer. Currently, he is carrying out a tech venture development with AYM Tech Holdings Private Limited. He is the global business head for Rubik's Blockchain Group, founding member and vice president with MCA Management Consultant Limited, fund advisor and manager with a venture capital fund for the APAC region. He had found and successfully ran a trade finance fund for a large group in Singapore. Served as a chief representative of India for Louisiana Economic Development, conducted roadshows, and assisted on establishing offshoot of Indian organizations. He has experience in business planning and advisory, cross-border joint ventures, merger and acquisitions, capital raising, IPO advisory, due diligence, business valuation, IFRS advisory, and international tax advisory by working in projects of varied industries. We are grateful that you readily accepted our invitation even in your busy schedule. I feel honored to welcome you, sir, for this 2-day virtual international conference. Now I request our guest speaker to address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to be in this conference. I think I'm really honored. There are a lot of professors and very well-educated gathering. Thank you so much for getting me on this conference. Special thanks to Rupa. She was coordinating with me. Of course, when it's University of Madras, where I studied and then graduated from. So it's a real pleasure to be associated on anything to do with it. And after a long time, I stood up for the Tamil Thai Varthu. So it's a great moment for me to listen to it after a long time. As I was introduced, I'm born, brought up, raised everything in Chennai, finished all my studies in Chennai. Then afterwards, I moved to the US and had a stint with a hedge fund and then came back to India and then started a trade finance operations in India. Then from there, I moved to serve in a government position with a state government in the United States. And, as time takes by, I moved to Singapore and, of course, here I am. I'm basically a chartered accountant and a BCom graduate, very proud of both the qualifications. Thank you so much again. All the patrons, chief patrons, the organizers, conveners of the conference, real good luck. It's a very intriguing topic that you all have taken. About entrepreneurship, about social innovations, about sustainability. It's a very vast topic, and I've been involved in all these three things one way or the other for the last decade or so. So it gives me a lot of pleasure to share a few of my experiences and what's been happening on the international trade and investment segments. Feel free to ask any questions, put it on the chat. Probably you can send it to the organizing committee. If you need any further clarifications, they can always shoot it to me, and I can come back to all of you at a later time. So as today's discussion progresses, I just wanted to take you all through few of the trends that's been happening on the international market. As you all know, what the world is talking today is not what was happening before 2020. We are all talking about what's happening after 2020. So one of the major things that, at least in our lifetime, that we have seen is this Great Depression that is caused by, the mystical virus-induced pandemic. So there's a lot of issues that went on in the global economy. I would like to summarize a few things and then say it's been a bumpy ride. It's been quite quite a puzzle as to how we got into it and how we are coming out of it. Nobody could figure out what would happen in the early 2020, and then nobody could figure out what will happen in the early 2021. But we are here in 2022, so that itself is a blessing in disguise for all of us. So if you look at the first map, it shows clearly that when there is a pandemic of this level that happens, I still remember in Jan 2020 in Singapore, we got the first notification from China saying that they got this virus that's coming up. I still remember it's Chinese New Year that we were kind of in the celebrations mood here, and then there was a release that came out saying that there is a large pandemic that's lurking around from the Asian segment. So when China released the first release saying that they're going to stop all the port operations, they're going to put a lockdown on their country, it just hit very hard. So if you look at the first plunge in the first quarter of 2020, which is between Jan to March 2020, there's a huge plunge. The entire world went into a dip. China announced first, then the Southeast Asian countries announced their lockdowns. India announced March 24th the lockdown, then it went on to Europe, then it went on to the US. So with all these lockdowns coming in, the entire market got disrupted. So biggest thing that we learned in this whole pandemic is whether it is natural calamities or whether it is man-made calamities, as soon as a pandemic strikes, we are all out of our normal. So we all started talking about how we need to sit at home and do the work because we are not allowed to go out. We are not allowed to do anything outside. The roads were empty. The entire business districts were empty. The banks could not function in a normal manner. All our things were disrupted. But the only one thing that I would thank in this whole pandemic issue that happened initially, and then what it taught us, was to how to embrace technology. I think without pandemic, we wouldn't have embraced technology to the level what we have embraced today. So one of the biggest learnings that we all got during the pandemic is about this technology embracement. And that's true for anything that we got to do in the trade. I run operations in my company in about 12 countries. And usually all my sales heads and myself, we used to travel at least twice a month across the globe. But when the pandemic struck, we were all put together, we were all made to sit in our houses, and still the industry has to grow. People have to do business. We need to figure out how we need to do the business. It's not a lot of things. So trade, luckily, doesn't depend on individuals. Trade purely depends on someone's ability to produce and someone's ability to consume it. So trade quickly saw a good rebound. So if you look at the second chart, you can see that in the first quarter or in the 4 quarters of 2020, trade plunged, but it started seeing, and then from there it started seeing an upward trend. So in 2021, you can see the kind of trade movement that was happening. So before the pandemic, we were roughly somewhere about $4.5 trillion of global trade moving every year. When the pandemic struck, it came down to about $2 trillion in terms of value, the trade, because of the lockdowns, because of the reduction in consumption, mainly oil. Oil plunged to the lowest levels. So a lot of things came down drastically, but it just bottomed out during the third quarter and fourth quarter of 2020, and then it started moving up in 2021. So this shows that there is a lot of resilience in the market, at least now. I mean, this was not the case when we had issues in 2009, when the financial meltdown happened, and even during the Great Recession that happened in 1970s. So if you see all these things, or the 1920s, so if you see a comparison between what was happening during those depressive times and the depression that caused by the pandemic right now are the ability for all of us together as a mankind to bounce back from that. So that's the biggest lesson every segment learned from this, and trade was not a exception. From about $2 trillion in December 2020, it moved up as high as $6 trillion by the end of 2021. So we are today in 2022, and we are standing at a level of $6 trillion of global trade moving. That means trade has completely, or it has actually exceeded the level that it was in pre-pandemic stages. Of course, there are a lot of reasons for it. People went out and, I mean, they had a lot of cash. They had a lot of money, spare money to be spent. All the governments across the globe printed a lot of money. They threw at people because they were feeling that pandemic is going to disrupt everyone. So this happened, and then they all got the surplus cash in hand, and that actually reflected in them having an enhanced buying power. Because of that buying power parity, the trade has gone up very well. If you look at the kind of growth projections that we are looking at, post-pandemic, Asia is the clear winner, because Asia has the largest population in the face of the earth, and Asia is basically leading the pack in terms of the growth. So if the world growth is 6% or is projected to have about 5% this year, majority of it is taken up by Asia. So we all are really in an exciting time, in an extremely good time to have this kind of opportunity for us. So from our perspective, from the trading perspective, from the investment perspective, we feel that if we can catch on this wave of growth that's especially coming up in Asia, we will all be extremely good going down the line, probably a decade or two. So, anybody who's interested in moving up the ladder in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of technology, in terms of getting into investments, I think if you are positioning yourself heavy in Asia, you will be a real winner. So that's the way the whole projections are moving out. And of course, the FDI numbers are there presented. 2020 pandemic year, it came down very low, but now it's moving up very high. So it's roughly about $2 trillion in terms of value. So I believe we'll all have good times coming up. I just would like to draw some specific notes about some areas that we are feeling in the international segment that's garnering a lot of interest and growth. Some of the areas, and top of the chart is technology. Anybody who's in technology, if you can align your thought process, if you can align your products, if you can align your technology towards real world applications, you are a winner. So we need to, I think all of us, regardless of age, regardless of segment, regardless of our experience, we need to learn or probably relearn technological advancements in our daily life. And that's what is going to give us the edge in the future. Similarly, on the international front, we feel a lot of commodities, especially industrial use commodities, are coming up to a super cycle. All the commodity prices have been raising, and anyone who has invested significant money and significant resource on the commodity space is going to grow in the future. Consumption is growing up heavily, so this is an area to watch out. Healthcare is another area. I think no better reason other than pandemic to understand how important healthcare is for all of us. So there's a lot of investment going into healthcare. There's a lot of technological advancements that's happening in healthcare. So anyone and everyone who is focusing their businesses, their future career on healthcare, they are bound to grow very well. Renewable energy, one of the topics that you're all talking about in this conference is about sustainability. So nothing more than renewable energy can give a sustainable future in terms of energy, both in production and consumption, without harming the Mother Earth. So renewable energy is one of the key areas that's going to grow. Costs are going to come down, so the utility and the usability is going to go up. I used to work in renewable energy space since I started my career back in 2003. And now, between then and now, after about 15 years, the whole world has gone upside down in renewable energy. Nobody used to talk about solar panels at that time. It was just a new concept. People were afraid to even put up solar farms. Now you go anywhere and everywhere, in India at least, you are seeing a lot of solar farms coming up. So this is a trend that's going to come up in the future. There are a lot of things coming up, hydrogen as an alternate for oil, renewable energy as an alternate for fossil fuels. So watch out for this space. Just to quickly touch, this is a very specific, industry-specific areas where the growth trends are being seen. Anything to do with travel, anything to do with leisure, anything to do with international cross-border operations, they're all seeing an uptick. IBIS World released a recent survey, and they have rated the travel and tourism and leisure and international transport agencies as the maximum gainers, because the world is opening up now. This may not be the trend probably a couple of years down the line, but if somebody is there in these operations, and if you are looking at investments in any of the stocks, any of the companies that you are personally investing, watch out for these segments. Companies in these segments, companies in these areas will have a very good stock market run, or the prices be moving up, at least in the near future. But the most important thing and the most daring thing that we all should understand, at least from our traditional mindset, is the other side. The top 10 globally declining industries. So you look at iron ore mining. Iron ore, we use this in everything. There is nothing that contains, that is not having this metal all around us. We use iron ore everywhere. It converts metal into steel, steel into construction. So everywhere it has been used, but you see a lot of decline on the usage, or at least the mining operations on a global scale. There's a lot of things that are happening. Sustainability is one of the major issue. So mining on an overall basis has been seeing a downtick. So iron ore mining, coal mining, anything that to do with mining, if you're not following sustainability development goals set by UN, you're going to be crushed. So watch out for those industries. If you are investing or if you are in those industries, then you're going to see a lot of headwinds coming towards you. So you need to be prepared for that. There's a lot of things that's happening on the traditional industries, especially newspaper publishing, paper industries. I think at least for last 7-8 years, I've not touched a newspaper in my hand. I've been reading news in my mobile, earlier in the laptop, now in the mobile. So I think one of the things that we need to understand is technology is a real disruptor for some traditional industries. So we need to be very careful about our own interest in investments into those industries. We feel this. There are some sunset industries in the global scenario that we should avoid at all costs. And physical paper and production industry is one of the industries that we are not getting into our hands and legs on right now. So we are all moving towards technology-induced newsprint media. And then, there are other things, there are life insurance, health insurance carriers. The more people grow sick, the more people look at healthcare advancements. So when the healthcare advancements grow a lot, you will see these insurance things coming down. So take a note of all these things. Probably you may have to avoid these declining industries. These are very recent trends. This is published as of Jan 2022. This will change by end of December 2022. So watch out for the publications that are coming up, and then play your investments in trade accordingly. These are the indicators that we use in the international trade to see where we need to put our money in, which commodities that we should transact, which commodities we should avoid. Just to give a quick summary of what's happening in the international market, there's a lot of buzz that's happening on the technology front. So when I run a trade operation, that means I move physical commodities from one place to another. So where is technology involved in this? That's a normal question that anybody would like to ask. But if you really look at the entire activity, everything is powered by technology. So earlier we used to have all the records maintained in a physical manner. Now everything is being converted into electronic manner, but the real kick is not on having these things on the electronic manner. It's going to be more on digital manner. So blockchain plays a very important role. Anybody in your own interest, if you would like to focus on the international trading space, international trade finance space, do not avoid your knowledge or your learning that you must do on blockchain. You have to have at least basic understanding of what's happening on the Web3 side of it. So Web3, I mean decentralized side of it, and blockchain is the underlying engine that powers the entire Web3 applications going now globally. So as part of my investments, I'm very heavy on tech investments. So we have, I'm part of senior leadership of a large blockchain platform globally. We're working with Fortune 500 companies. The main reason why I developed myself, just not being a chartered accountant, that's my qualification, but I'm no more a chartered accountant. I moved from chartered accountancy to business, and from business to new areas of business, because if you're in international trade, if you're in international finance, if you stay in one place, your lifespan is only 10 years. By the end of 10th year, either you need to move to a new place or you need to be left out. You will die. So without the new technology advancements, there is no development in the international front. So we keep moving from one place to the other. We look at new technologies. We look at new aspects. We look at new areas to focus on. So blockchain is one of the areas that's important. Today in my office, globally, all my operations are all powered by digitized record creation, digitized record maintenance, digitized record traceability. So we are all completely plugged on to the recent developments. These trends are coming up everywhere. India is not new to this. China is not new to this. US is not new to this. All of them are coming on to this trend. So as you know, I understand there's a lot of papers that have come up in this conference, in this international deliberation. So if any of you are focused on technology and specifically on blockchain, I think you will definitely have a bright future. Then coming up to the ESG, one of the main areas of the conference is also sustainability. I think without sustainability, there is nothing that's going to move in the future. So if we don't take care of Mother Earth, it's going to be a major issue going in the future. So we in the international front have a significant amount of contribution implementation of ESG in trade and trade finance segment. So we have a specific trade finance goals that's been set by UN. UN has the sustainability development goals that needs to be implemented by every global country by 2030. Now they have moved it to 2035. India has committed a lot of things on this, especially Paris, the climate change conference, COP26. So there are a lot of things that are coming up, but the broader one is the sustainability development goals. So anything that we do today, we align ourselves with not having, not having anything to do with fossil fuels. We should go completely renewable. We should produce agriculture products that are not harming the earth. We should promote equality. We should have women representation in the enterprise. So these are all certain basic stuff that is coming up in people's mind. When you're looking at logistics, when you're looking at running your company, when you're looking at doing a transaction with a bank, you look at sustainability development goals on all sides. In fact, banks have gone in the international front. In India, it's still yet to catch up. But in the international front, we have something called sustainability linked loans. So if I'm a company and I have a sustainability development policy, banks in the international trade finance segment, they come and finance me based on the goals that I have given to achieve. So if I achieve some X amount of goals, my interest rates will come down. So isn't that a good opportunity for us? So that's how people are looking at promoting sustainability on every single company or every single entrepreneur or every single operations that's happening across the globe. So this is coming up in India also. Some of the companies in India, especially the larger ones like Tata's, Adani's, Reliance, Birla's, their international financing are linked with sustainability bonds, sustainability development goal linked bonds. So if you look at the whole pattern, how this has been pushed is there is a drive from UN. UN is pushing this to the banks. The banks are pushing this to the entrepreneurs. UN is then pushing it from the government side. Government is then pushing it to their subjects. So there's a lot of emphasis that's coming on sustainability on our everyday life. So if you take your Apple Mac, for example, today, they produce Apple Mac, the MacBooks and the Apple Air is all produced out of 100% recycled aluminum. Why? Because Apple has committed enormous money, or the banks have committed to Apple also enormous money to become more sustainable. And so earlier, somebody supplies some aluminum, Apple takes it and then produces it as a laptop or uses it on their applications. Today, no more. They collect the old iPhones, they recycle their old laptops, they recycle any old laptops, and then they bring out all the metals available in it, and then they put it up to make a new laptop. So this is how sustainability is coming up in everyone's real world applications. We also do this on all of our operations. Otherwise, you will be penalized. So people do it, when you penalize them, they really do it. The third one, and the most important thing that's disrupting or that could be an advantage for the international trade is supply chain management. So if you can control the whole supply chain management by your own aspect, which is very difficult, by the way, to do it, but if you could do it, then you will be on the top of the food chain. Anyone who is not controlling the whole supply chain for their products, for their businesses, you will not be on top of the food chain. For example, I'm a trader, I'm sitting in Singapore. Everyone knows that Singapore has no natural resources in terms of production, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of agriculture. So everything is bought into Singapore from a third country. But they all power this with finance. So one of the areas that we all look at is we access finance in Singapore, but we go to the source locations like Africa, Indonesia, India, China, where there's a lot of production that happens, right? Take those commodities from there and then put it into those buckets where it is not, where there is a requirement for it. So how do you connect all these dots? How do you go yourselves on a backward integration? How do you go yourselves on a forward integration? And then make yourself a holistic supply chain manager is the key. Anybody who doesn't know this whole supply chain management in their business, going forward will have a natural death. So you need to, especially entrepreneurs or especially trade guys, you need to have a lot of emphasis on supply chain management. These are certain learnings that I've taken in my last decade or so on the international community. I'm open for any queries, any discussions that would be there. I look forward to the presentations with the other two speakers. I love to take up anything that you would throw at me, but I would like to finish it with one simple statement. This is something that was taught to me when I was studying. You cannot overdo anything. You cannot underdo anything as well. you need to have this thing called the art of fine balancing. So if you do anything above, anything down, it'll be a failure. But if you can do it just right, whether it's personal or in business, it's a great win-win situation. Thank you so much. Lovely talking to everyone, and open for anything that comes as queries. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. I now invite Ms. Doreen Smiley, Assistant Professor, Shri Krishnaswamy College for Women from Department of Accounting and Finance, to introduce Mr. Shyam Sundar.
Profusely overjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Shyam Sundar, Senior Vice President, Breaks India Limited, Chennai, who is a HR professional with varied experience in accounts, industrial relations, HR, and administration space. He is a postgraduate in commerce, postgraduate diploma in business management, postgraduate diploma in personnel management and industrial relations. His initial 7 years of career was in accounts and costing functions. For the last 30 plus years, he is into personnel, industrial relations, and HR space. He has worked for multinationals and big Indian giants. At present, he is into handling around 8,000 plus employees spread across pan-India, transforming and acting as change agent, placing field development for employees, driving high performance culture in organization, developing leaders through coaching and facilitation skills, talent management and career development for engineers, compensation, rewards, recognition, and employee engagement. Mr. Shyam Sundar has been member of ISTD since 2008 and has been actively contributing towards it. He has held various honorable and highest positions at ISTD Chennai chapter. At present, he is National Council member from Chennai chapter. He is a life member of National HRD Network, member of CII, chairman of HR Subcommittee, ACMA Southern Region, and chairman of HR Industrial Relations Subcommittee at Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I request our honorable guest speaker, Mr. Shyam Sundar, to address the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. I don't know whether I deserve this or not, but then thank you very much. My first thanks to the college for taking up a fantastic theme, contemporary themes on sustainability, social innovation, and entrepreneurship. This is the order of the day, and so I think this is going to be beneficial to the students and the people who are going to present in today's and tomorrow's conference. I wish every one of them all the best, and my congratulations to the trustees of Sri Krishnaswamy College for Women, the principal of Krishnaswamy College for Women, and the faculties, and the Madras University for jointly organizing this conference, international conference. And it gives me pleasure to be part of this, representing ISTD. ISTD has been closely working with Krishnaswamy College for Women. We are supported, and we have conducted a lot of programs jointly with Krishnaswamy College for the benefit of their students. So the topic for today, which Mr. Manoj Vembu dealt, was fantastic. He gives a lot of inputs and data. I think those of you who are interested in technology space and industry space, it's a very, very useful information. Thank you very much, Mr. Manoj Vembu. I definitely learned some inputs from your presentation today. Thank you very much. And today's my theme, which I've selected, is on social innovation. I would like to share my view. I don't have a presentation. I'm just going to talk to you. And in case of any questions, feel free to ask me. When we think of innovation, we usually think of new technologies developed by companies as an engine for their own growth. However, there is more than that to innovation. It doesn't just help companies grow, it also helps society to prosper. Let us deep dive into some of the social innovation and see how it can serve business. What is social innovation? Social innovation refers to the process of developing and implementing new effective solutions to solve social or environmental issues, whether these come from national policies, government or non-government entities. Such solutions should meet current social needs better than it has been done in the past. Social innovation is meant to have long-term impact at large scale. Social innovation is traditionally advanced through non-profit endeavors, but the business community is also open to address society's challenge too. So why social innovation is important? In today's hyper-connected world, one country's societal problem can become ours. Nations facing slow economic growth, financial instability, political turmoil, hunger, poverty, and disease. These are social issues that must be addressed one way or the other. And such big problems generate big opportunities. In fact, more than 80% of the economic growth comes from innovation and application of new knowledge. A truly prosperous society in our days consists of both economic prosperity and social prosperity. Traditionally, we assess and if a country was prosperous by looking at its GDP. Today, it is more common to consider the peace and happiness, individual freedom and liberties, and financial well-being. So just GDP alone is not going to be the criteria. It is also going to be the wellness aspect also. So when we look at the prosperity from this angle, we see the prosperities, societies, and also the innovation approach to the current social problems, because our complex problems need new solution. And social innovation brings a new mindset that leaves behind the narrow way of thinking about the social enterprise and for profit businesses as mutually exclusive areas. So social innovation is mistaken, seen by some as charity. It should be acknowledged that social innovation is adding an extra dimension to innovation, sustaining economic and social growth. Embracing social innovation is not just doing good for the society, but also about doing good for the business where they are in. Let's see why we should question the utility of traditional corporate philanthropy and instead of take a closer look at the business value of social innovation. Here, I would like to compare what is corporate social responsibility and what is corporate social innovation. Since we are talking about social innovation for business perspective, we should clarify the difference between the term used to refer environmental and social responsibility in the corporate world. Corporate innovation refers to companies that integrate social innovation into their business activity. This can be seen as ongoing approach that seeks to continuously address social challenges and improve on these solutions. On the other hand, there is also the corporate social responsibility approach, which has been quite common for companies. CSR refers to strategies that ensures a company's operation are ethical and beneficial to the society. CSR generally covers four main areas: philanthropy, environment, human rights, and economic responsibility. It has been argued that CSR is a old habit in need for an upgrade. If we look at the philanthropic areas of CSR, it might be true. It seems that the company started shifting towards social innovation and stopped calling the strategic approach to social CSR. So the difference of social innovation and social corporate responsibility definitely needs to be understood. So what are the best practice for a good corporate social innovation? That there should be a strategic intent. Corporate social innovation has to be embedded into the core business strategy and should consider the organization vision. And this should be driven from the top. Management support and accountability are mandatory. For example, in Unilever integrated CSI in their core business through Unilever Sustainability Living Plan. They committed to growing their company while tackling environmental issues and social inequalities. To do so, they inaugurated corporate social innovation in all their business operations, product design, marketing, sourcing, customer engagement, etc. The ambition to grow is supported by innovation, and their strategy includes goals like reducing the environmental impact by half by 2030 and improve health and well-being for 1 million people. The second aspect of one is leverage the power of different markets. Though corporate innovation companies can identify new undeserved market to expand, these can be either within local market or in emerging economies. By leveraging these market, organizations can serve unmet needs with new products or services. Just like the business opportunity that can rise from going into market, where the public sector or charitable organization have been the main actors for a long time. You don't have to struggle for market share in areas where competition might be, when you can identify areas where problems have not been addressed at the root. The third aspect is the strategic collaboration. So the companies need to be involved in external stakeholders in the innovation process. In fact, 54% of the businesses say the co-creation has helped improve the social impact. So what are the benefits of the corporate social innovation? Historically, companies were closely linked to communities as they got bigger and reached global communities. Their role in society faded. Some companies couldn't find a financial viable model to support their growth, so their priorities had to change. Now times are changing and corporations are start to see the true benefit of corporate social innovation. So the benefits that can be leveraged are workforce competitiveness. So by having social innovation, you can attract, engage, retain great talent. The younger generation seeks careers, purpose, and companies have to adopt. So that way, it attracts. To attract people, social innovation plays a very important role, and it helps in business growth. Naturally, when new innovation comes, it helps it, and it strengthens the supply chain management, and also it helps you to build your brand value. So that way, the social innovation helps. So how to get started with social innovation? Historically, for profit organization, where after one main goal, profit, this is deeply embedded into most of the DNA. And balancing both social and financial goals doesn't come naturally to them. So how to approach social innovation while sustaining the company's growth? There are 4 steps. One is to get everybody involved. Social innovation cannot be done overnight. It takes quite a long time, and a lot of commitment is required. And then there is other kind of innovation. You have to remember and to remind all those involved that social innovation is the business case itself, and getting everyone talking and exciting is the first step. Get everybody involved through an idea challenge and gather ideas that will fuel your innovation strategy. This also support your cause and further convenience of management to get into the rolling. And building partnerships. So identify partners and build the partnership with them. That will definitely help you to take it forward. Evaluate how to measure the success. So the social metrics, you should also start looking at outcomes and impact. Start setting up simple KPIs that make sure measure social performance and also with business performance. So enable the culture of innovation. That is very, very important. You need to encourage innovation, bring the innovation as part of the culture of the organization. And that way, by bringing into the everybody's day-to-day activities, then it becomes a part and parcel of the employees, and it becomes a culture. And once it becomes a culture, it goes very seamlessly, and being a synergy is developed, and that helps the organization to be focused more towards the social innovation. So the challenges of social innovations are the demand for growth you may have to identify, and of course there is a lot of subsectorism available in this. And some of the great social innovations which I would like to share with you is, one is Telsa. When we talk innovation, we have to mention Telsa. Their mission is clear to move towards zero emission future. Their models prove that sustainable is good, not just for the environment, but also for the business. In 2019 impact report, Telsa states that for over 550 case sold vehicles, they saved 4 million metric tons of CO2. Their extensive charging network has saved over 75 million gallons of gas oil. And at the same time, they are gathering data to harness the power of artificial intelligence and machine learning, which allows them to improve their product and services. Telsa proves the commitment to renewable energy, not just through their cars. They are example brought in sustainable and affordable energy solution to the island. So one of the very social innovation done by Telsa. Another one is Aditya. It is a very Indian example. Aditya is India's first solar ferry, was built by Navy Untitled Solar and Electronic Boats for the Kerala State Water Transport Department. The ferry is the first commercial mode of transport powered by solar energy in India. Aditya is also the first ferry in the world to have more than 80% of its energy requirement met through solar. It has been a seating capacity of 75 passengers on a bright sunny day, can cruise for more than 6 hours without any external charge. So this is one important one, and in an Indian context. Another one is Agni Sumik. It inspired the traditional method of cooking on charcoal. Agni Sumik manufactures commercial kitchen equipment driven by innovative and energy efficient radiant heat gas burners. The ultra efficient cooking stoves save 30% of the gas, improving cooking and help beat indoor air pollution in commercial kitchen. They have already won 5 awards for this innovation. Their vision is to transform living by providing clean, green, energy efficient heating solution across gas fuels. So these are some of the great innovations in social innovation. One very recent one in India, in Indian context, is the Jail Vani. Indoor jail authorities have developed a FM radio station exclusively for the inmates of jail. For them, the intention was to bring in more awareness to the inmates and rehabilitate them, and so that they lead the normal life when they move out of the jail. So they come to know about what is happening in the outside world. They also get the entertainment, so their mind is relaxed. They can think of alternate ways of living rather than simply thinking of the crime. So this is another innovation which has been recently done by the indoor jail authorities of creating the FM radio station. So now that the business leaders are aware that the financial goals are no longer enough for their companies to thrive, they should see greater potential in social innovation. And Mr. Manoj Vembu was also talking about the sustainability. So they need to, there could be penalties if they violate any of the sustainable initiatives. So that way, the companies are also focusing more on social innovation and the importance to realize that they have the power to lead the way and creative, positive consumer behavior change that can improve current standard. As this is a huge responsibility to undertake, it is all easy to fall in trap trying to add social value to the expense of business goals. So one has to be very, very careful and guarded And definitely there is a clear difference between the financial goals and the social goals. So the innovations which supports the environmental and social issues can be definitely be termed as a social innovation. And many organizations in India also started approaching that, and across globally also many organizations are working towards it. And this is going to be the order of the day, and going forward it is going to be very, very important. And as I said in the beginning, that social innovation cannot be achieved overnight. It takes quite a long time. It takes time, and to make people to understand, make the whole organization understand, and work towards it. So as an youngsters, you also, when you go back to work, you need to think in those direction. And there is a need to shift in the mindset of people. And you people, when you come to work with that intention, you can do a great job and be more helpful to your family and to the society at large. So with that, I thank you very much for the opportunity given, and I wish this conference a great, grand success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your wide perspective on social innovations. I now invite Dr. Kritika Maheshwari, Head, Department of BCom Computer Applications, to introduce Dr. Dhanlakshmi.
Morning all. It is indeed a great pleasure to introduce the guest speaker of the day, Dr. A. Dhanlakshmi, Professor, School of Foreign Studies, North Campus, Wenzhou University, China, a speaker and a well-known personality. She has 25 years of teaching expertise in management and has guided 4 PhD scholars, 13 MPhil scholars, and several MBA graduates. She has completed a postdoctoral research in Daido Bunkai University in Tokyo, Japan, and doctorate in Warhus College, Vellore. She participated and presented more than 80 papers in international and state-level conferences, also published many papers in peer-reviewed journals and book chapters. She worked as a visiting professor at Zufi, UK, as an authorized professor of Bankur University, and also served as a professor and director of Acharya Bangalore B School Studies. Also, she was the vice principal of M.K. Jain College, Vaniambadi. She is a member of the University Women's Association Bangalore and the ICAI Board of Studies. She has been the resource person of SEBI and conducting more than 280 financial education workshops in different parts of the country since 2011 and worked as a project manager at BISW Tripattur. She has a wealth of administrative experience in organizing seminar, conference, intercollegiate events, and faculty development programs. An extremely nice human being who has helped large number of scholars to develop their intellectual potential. We are indeed grateful to have you amidst us today as keynote speaker. Now I request Dr. A. Dhanlakshmi to address the gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. Your mic is in mute, ma'am.
Oh, I am extremely sorry. I am extremely sorry.
Thank you, ma'am.
Respected trustees, and the principal, Dr. Anita Rajendran, the faculty members of this institution, respected Professor Rangarajan, Head Department of Commerce, and other professors from the same department, that is Commerce Department, University of Madras, and all the delegates. A very good morning. Special greetings to Ms. Arupa for being in contact with me and making this event happen. So I take this opportunity to thank the previous two speakers, CA Manoj Vembu and Mr. Shyam Sundar, for their excellent and informative presentation. Thank you, sir. I have been working with Vendor University since 2016, and I'll be sharing my experience and understanding about Chinese business etiquette and culture. Let me share the screen. Is it? Yeah, the topic for the discussion today is Chinese business etiquettes and culture. These are the contents of my presentation. I'll be talking about Chinese business etiquettes, conversation, China meeting, interpersonal behavior, Chinese language and culture. And also I'll be sharing a very interesting fact about the similarities between Chinese language and other Indian languages, whichever I know, the few languages. And finally, I'll talk about the cultural facts about China. To have a very good business connections with China, one has to understand about the business etiquette so that we can win their heart. We can prove ourselves as trustworthy business partners. When businessmen are confident in the proper Chinese business etiquette procedures, businessmen will gain new partners and clients in the country that will bring success for the business. So easily you can impress them when we are capable of understanding their business etiquettes. We can have a better network and long-term relationship. So always using formal interaction, routine procedure should include greeting the highest ranked person first. So they follow the protocol. And always use titles such as Mr., Mrs., Professor, or Doctor before addressing them. So a light yet confident handshake is important. Aggressive handshakes can be considered offensive and unsuitable for a business meeting. It's important to establish a fundamental business relationship. They love to have friendly conversations. They love people. And starting with small talk before moving to the specific business matter is always good to have a business with Chinese. Avoiding personal contacts such as pat on the back and pointing when speaking with Chinese business partner should be avoided. They don't like such gestures. If it is necessary to indicate, be sure to use an open palm rather than the one index finger. So when they give the business cards, they'll be observing the recipient of the card. So the business card is very much essential, and it is a very good gesture, and they expect the same from the counterparts. And it is a ritual too, and they respect as they respect the guest. To avoid insulting Chinese business people, never put the business card into the wallet and or back pocket. Be sure to read the card. After receiving the card, it has to be read by the recipient and then simply lay it in front of the table or desk. So for Chinese colleagues, watching the way one who handles a card is very important. To some degree, an indication of how you will handle your future relationship. Will be careful and respectful or insensitive and rash. They'll understand, they'll observe very quietly. So get a Chinese translation of the business cards, which will demonstrate to your colleagues that you are diligent, respectful, and industrious too. So personal relationship, Guanzi, they'll say, so along with avoiding personal contact, also avoid a great deal of direct eye contact. We Indians, we believe that if someone is talking to us, we need to see that eyes are meeting their eyes. So it is not the same practice in China. They don't like, they'll feel very shy to face and see the counterparts' eyes directly. So avoiding offering gifts as they can be seen as a form of bribery to Chinese colleagues. Of course, small gifts are allowed. Never directly use the word no. Be gentle and seek an alternative phrase that doesn't imply a closed option. So try something along the lines of, I will look into it, or yes, it's a possibility, and so on. We can use instead of just telling negatively no. When it comes to timings, they are very punctual, similar to Japanese. So they are 2 hours and 2.5 hours ahead of Indian time. So even though China is a huge territory, it's all contained within one time zone. So when it comes to the dressing, women are very particular about the way they dress, and they don't expose cleavage. So also keep heel height to an absolute minimum. They believe that if their heel height is very higher than the guest, it is not a very respectful gesture. So men always wear full business suits, including jackets. So they avoid vivid colors, as it is safer to lean toward conservative options. So these are the basic, Chinese business etiquettes which we need to understand. Establishing personal relationship is a must. Eating and meeting is also one of the common practice in China. Bringing small gifts, yes, it is allowed. And bringing business card is very essential to have a very good business partnership with them. Then learning some Mandarin is very much appreciated. They love it. They really appreciate the gesture of respecting their culture by learning Mandarin. Then saving face. They don't like to insult others, or they are very much sensitive to comments. So when beginning to do business with Chinese people, it's important that taking a little bit about hobbies, family, and self introduction before launch the topic of business. So treating counterparts in China as friends is always essential. Doing so will help to smoothen the business relationship and proceed with further collaborations. Eating and meeting, working lunches and dinners are not only common but expected in China. Counting on attending banquets arranged by host is a good gesture. Then returning the favor, if at all possible, then and there, either while in China or after return home. So at working meetings, sitting will follow strict protocol, and they are very particular about it. They give respect to the senior most. So let host see the business partner. And of course, we don't know exactly what is the protocol. Therefore, as a foreign business partner, we need to wait until they allow us to take our seat. Starting with a few pleasantries before discussing is a very good gesture. And during a meal, wait for the host to make the first toast before drinking, then return the toast. So it's polite to use both hands when offering or receiving anything, especially a drink. So bringing small gifts is quite, appreciable, and it is accepted too. While not absolutely required, small gifts are appreciated. Items such as food, pens, or items with corporate logo will work well. A book with pictures of the respective countries of the business partner is always a good bet. If Chinese client doesn't open the gift at once, don't assume the present is unappreciated. The culture is they open the gift after the guest leave the meeting hall. So Chinese often tend not to open gift in front of others. Exchanging business cards. Yes, this is how they have to exchange using both the hands. Learn some Mandarins. Yes, here I have given, so I have taken some sample Mandarin. It is very commonly used. So your Chinese clients will be impressed because they equate learning Chinese with a fondness for China. If you can summon up even a few simple greetings, it will help to lay a foundation for a stronger business relationship. Here are a few examples. Ni hao. So to show the respect, they say nin hao. So we say ni in Tamil, it is singular and it is not very respectful. Nin tar, we say, okay, nin, which means very much respectful. So similar, same in Chinese too. So the meaning I have given in English below. How do you do? O hen kao xing ren shinin, which means nice to meet you. So xie xie, which means thank you. Xing shui means sit down, please. Chai jie means goodbye. So I started, when I went to China in 2016, I was not prepared to stay there for more than 6 months. I took a sabbatical leave from my institution, that is Acharya Bangalore School. And after joining Venture University for my research and cultural exchange, I started admiring the language. And the first year I never took any initiative to learn any Mandarin. The next year I have decided to continue for several years, as the university and the department wished me to continue. Then I started spending some time. I spent nearly 3 months to learn very basic Chinese Mandarin. While doing so, I was very serious about it. And I started comparing Chinese language with other known Indian languages. So this is one way of learning any language. First of all, I have a very keen interest in learning languages. The next way to learn something is to know from known to unknown. So I started comparing. And it was surprising to know that within this short span, in Chinese language, we have more than 4,500 or around 5,000 characters. And I had an opportunity to learn around around 400 characters. Within that short span, I could identify around 76 vocabularies, words are similar to Indian languages. It was really a great surprise. I started discussing with my colleagues and friends, Chinese colleagues and Indian friends. And I started, showing much more interest. So I thought of, sharing, since the time is very limited. And how much time I have, ma'am? Yeah. I think 10 more minutes. So with this limitation, I thought of taking only sample. I have taken Chinese, English, of course, to understand. Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam, Telugu, and Hindi. So, sheeping, which means soldier. In Tamil, we say sipai. It is similar. Sheeping, sipai. Shanglian means next chain. We say Sangli, the southern part of Tamil Nadu. We say Sangli. Nin, which means nin. The same thing we call people with respect. And Khan, Khan, Khan. In Tamil, we say to see, we say Khan. And Toipuchi in Chinese, which means sorry. In Tamil, we say Apache. And let me take one example, one or two examples in Kannada. Hua is flower in Chinese language. In Kannada, we say hu. Then hauda means yes in Audu in Kannada. And Nidhi is neither. Neither is Nidhi in Telugu. Nidhi means yours. Neither. Yours in Chinese. Then Didi is younger brother in Chinese, but in Hindi it is elder sister. And for elder sister they call in Chinese Jia Jia. In Malayalam we call Chechi. So again, one more example in Hindi. Shuajo is to sleep. We say sojo. So papa, they call it as papa in Hindi. Yeah. So some samples I've taken, and it will be very much surprising to you guys to understand out of the 76 similarities which I have identified within the short time with limited knowledge about Chinese Mandarin. 47 are like very much similar to Tamil, and of course remaining like Mandarins are similar to other languages. It is very much fascinating to hear. So hugging and kissing is not allowed, and they may not appreciate, unlike Western like culture. Laughing too loudly is not polite, nor is being too talkative. So saving face, as we have discussed, it's and last but not least, it is a highly sensitive topic for the Chinese. And Chinese people are accustomed to burying strong emotions and deep expressionless faces, unlike other Asians. Losing face means losing business. So very exact rules about human relationship. They respect, they are proud of their culture, and Chonghua concept. The correct names, correct placement, and correct etiquette paramount to Chinese people. And naming culture is also very much important. Hand this with two hands. The written word is the highest art form. Very aware of other cultures and on foreign trips, represent their country and avoid political comment. They don't like it. The concept of leadership is very much important while having a business relationship with Chinese partners. Business dress, yes, this is how Chinese men and women dress. Non-verbal communication gestures. When talking to each other, Chinese people stand very close. Personal space is less important to the Chinese. The main reason is that it is a sign of politeness and trust and less usage of hand gestures. While having a conversation, if there is a conflict, the important thing to remember is to not get upset or angry because the Chinese, only the lower class or uneducated cannot control their emotions. That is what they believe. So while conversing, if dressed for an opinion on a political or controversial issues, express your personal opinion, but acknowledge that it's not the viewpoint of the entire company. According to me, my opinion
இல்ல என்ன சொல்ல முடியும்?
Participants, kindly wait. There is a technical issue. Kindly wait. Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. You are in mute, ma'am.
audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, I'm extremely sorry. Yeah, following introduction conversation, begin with small talk. In conversation, they avoid politics. So do's and don'ts. How much time I can take more, ma'am? Based on that, I can manage my time.
5 more minutes, ma'am. Shall we proceed?
5 more minutes. Yeah. Fine, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
So do's and don'ts. Yes. It's again, if asked intrusive questions about age, salary, etc., and they may not be very happy. We shouldn't do that. Unspecific answers, that is, don't express irritation with a questioner. Since losing face, they don't appreciate. And one shouldn't talk his or her Chinese host about their family and personal like information we shouldn't try to seek. And you can talk about the child's education and the family, the weather, and the dental information without any topic on the politics. It's the common Chinese words. Have you eaten? So whenever we meet, we say in Tamil, nalla irkingla. So similarly, they, instead of asking that, the Chinese will ask, have you eaten? Because they don't like people asking them, you're feeling dull, how do you do? All this is not a very good thing, practice for them. Instead, they'll ask, have you eaten? where have you been, or how is the weather, and so on. They give importance to hierarchy. The senior most is very much, approached and respected in the meeting. People are expected to enter the meeting room in hierarchical order. The senior most will enter first. The Chinese assume that the person entering the meeting room first is the head, to indicate that they follow the protocol. And business cards, and what happens at a meeting, and they'll politely express their views instead of any argument or disagreement, and they will not say anything unpleasant. Other features: investigating, boasting, and exaggeration, don't like it. Tendency to extend a negotiation till the very end is appreciated. Patience, humility, and less display of emotions are vital here. At the end of the meeting, the Chinese leave the room last. So before arriving at the table, even in the table, they have the protocol where the guest has to be seated, and the host where he has to or she has to be seated, and they follow the protocol very seriously. And this is how their dining table, they display different varieties of food, and they use chopsticks to use. It is a very friendly and close relationship they show while even eating. Yeah. With regard to paying bill, whenever the colleagues go for lunch outside or dinner, they split the bill. Even the students do the same, and they'll divide the the cost of the bill. And if at all anybody is going to host, and they'll say loudly that they'll take care of the bill. And key factors, yes, the Chinese prefer and gestures to be kept to a minimum. So personal contact, like hugging, very strictly avoid. Shaking hand is acceptable, of course, and they need to be addressed with the title, not with the name first. And the most senior person should be acknowledged. Unusual facial expressions and expansive gestures are to be avoided. Bowing is seldom used, similar to Japanese culture. So this is, I have taken some pictures to show you. And this is the culture as an onion, they believe, the Chinese culture. You have to understand a lot, and it has to be unfolded. And it is an iceberg, Chinese culture. It is a rich culture. It has got a long history, more than 5,000 years of long history, similar to like Tamil culture. They have Taoism, religion. These are the philosophy. They believe in three treasures: compassion, moderation, and humility. They believe in yin yang and the five faces, Panjabhutas, we say. Buddhism, they follow. Religion is not important in China. It is not official. It is up to the individuals to follow. And yes, they are very particular that even in the academics, not even one sentence has to be spoken on religion. It is strictly prohibited. They'll see the content of the syllabus, and yes, if any teacher or guest speaker use any religious topics, it is highly avoided. They don't appreciate it. They don't mix religion with politics. That is a very good advantage for their development. And again, with regard to the festivals, they have many festivals. Dragon Boat Festival is similar to our Onam festival of Kerala. Yeah. And many traditional customs and activities are held, such as dragon boat racing, eating, tongshi, wearing a perfume pouch, tying 5-color silk thread, and hanging mugwort leaves and calamus is very much, popular in China. This particular dish is very much similar to our Sakare Pongal. And they respect the ancestors, and they celebrate by decorating and offering food, whichever they liked. Again, it is similar to Indian culture. They call it as Doom Sweeping Day. And people pay their respect to their elders, and they burn paper notes and paper buildings and things to show that they are present in the doom, their ancestors' doom. Calligraphy is very much, popular in China. Whoever goes, they'll try to learn the basics of calligraphy. And the 4 treasures of calligraphy are sheet, inkstone, ink brush, and chuan paper and ink stick. And this is a wonderful thing, scene of this Yangtze River. 3 gorges, often toured area of the Yangtze River, and considered to be an areas that had one of the oldest mountainous area. This is a map of China. The Yellow River floods mountain. Yellow River is also very much beautiful and most toured place in China. It's Beijing, capital city. Shanghai and Hong Kong are predominant in economic fields. And again, Beijing is a very much, cultural and political center of China. So you can see the red doors. This is how their architecture. This is a traditional building of China. Yeah, family. They give importance to family, the traditional family. They do have joint family system even today due to migration. Of course, now it is not so much popular. And the modern life is very much comfortable. They do have a work-life balance. They spend much time with the family members, and they give importance to recreation such as music, dance, exercise, singing, kite flying, even fishing and opera. This is how in the evening they dance. Every park you can find people dancing and meeting their friends. This is opera. Opera, Beijing, Peking opera is there, where it's again popular. Thank you, one and all, for the wonderful opportunity. And sorry if I have taken much of your time. And yes, thank you once again.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your words of knowledge with us on Chinese business etiquette and culture in a broad spectrum. Now, there are few questions from the participants to the guest speakers of the day.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be happy to answer them.
Over to the participants.
Good morning, everyone. My question is to
Good
Mr.
morning.
Manoj Vembu, sir.
Sure.
Sir, is it possible to hack blockchain?
Okay, so that's a very difficult question, but I'll try to answer. Yes, blockchains are supposed to be non-hackable, but they got hacked multiple times. Bitcoin blockchain got hacked sometimes. Ethereum blockchain got hacked sometimes. There are live examples that have come in, but now the new blockchains that's been developed, they have a very good cybersecurity built in it. So you'll be finding it pretty difficult to hack them. That's how the world is going. But yes, with the supercomputers and professors in China, China is getting up double or triple super processing computers on the way. So I think most of the things will become hackable, but if the algorithm is good, if it's very, if it's built for quantum computing, that's the future where we are moving. probably things will be better. It will not be hackable as soon as we think.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering. And thanks to the organizers for organizing this conference. It was a very informative session.
Good morning, everyone. My question is also for Manish Wimbu, sir. Sir, does the decentralized nature of the blockchain make it more secure?
Yes, so that's the major focus. If you're going to centralize something with a single person, then obviously if that person is vulnerable of the or if the entity or if the government is vulnerable, then it's always it's easy to take advantage of it. So the more decentralized you become, the more information is spread out, and the more it is interlinked and spread out in a manner where it can be tracked easily. Decentralized economy becomes more advisable for our data storage, cybersecurity, or even in terms of having a lot of protection for private data. So that's where the world is moving towards. It's very hard to go and hack a million store points or data points where the data is stored versus hacking a central computer of a company like Microsoft or Apple. It's very easy to just focus and attack one company and one data storage point versus hacking or coming up towards all the data points that's stored in million computers across the world. So this is the difference that we are seeing. It's very simple. It's like you take a stick, or the olden treasure hunt stuff that we use. A treasure map is drawn. It is torn into million pieces, given to million people. It's very difficult to find all the million people, put together the map, and then decipher the treasure map. Whereas if I just draw a map, I give it to you and say that keep it safe. If somebody steals it from you, that's it. The whole information is gone. So that's why decentralization is getting popular. It will become more popular. And I personally feel the entire Web3 segment is going to be powered by decentralized tech. It will not be any more centralized. The power will not be centralized with one single person. It will be decentralized in the hands of many.
Thank you so much, sir.
Participants, you can post your question in the chat box also.
So my question is, am I audible? Yes. So how far have global trade and investment had an impact on the promotion of economic growth?
Sorry, I missed your question. Can you please repeat again?
Yes, sir. How far have global trade and investment had an impact on the promotion of economic growth?
I couldn't understand the last part. You can probably put it on the chat box. Probably we can answer it.
Friends, if you want to raise any question, you can post it in the chat box. We might face some technical issue, so please post it in the chat box if there is any question you want to ask.
Good morning, sir. Manoj, this is my question to Manoj Vembu, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Now, I just want to know whether blockchain technology is used in cryptocurrencies.
Yes, that's the fundamental tech that's used in the cryptocurrencies. Blockchain was not actually invented for cryptocurrencies, but that became one of the most popular medium to popularize blockchain. So the entire crypto world runs on blockchain tech.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. There is a question from the participant. How far the global trade and investment have an impact on the promotion of economy? The question is to Manoj Vebu, sir.
Okay, so global trade and investments is the fundamental pillar of any economic development. You know, I'm sure all the learned professors here, you know, they'll agree on one thing, that commerce is the driver of any economy. If India has to thrive, or if any country has to thrive, they need to have a positive BOP. You know, or the more they run on a negative balance of payments, it's an issue for the country. That means they are borrowing from elsewhere. If it's on positive, then it denotes that the country is very powerful. So from the trade and commerce perspective, anything that you do in terms of international trade, the more you export, the more you earn foreign reserves, the more you have ability to lend or to provide a line of credit for another country, determines how the country and the economy is growing. So for example, the recent releases from the Indian government shows that India is in a very high forex reserve. They've got a very high forex reserve, what it was like 10 years back, obviously because of the growth in the economy. But I fully believe that because of India's ability to now showcase some new age technology developments and the ability for them to go with a very low cost and a sustainable production levels on multiple activities. It could be traditional material production, it could be traditional services deliveries, but whatever had happened, India had showcased itself as one of the major forex reserve earners over a few years. And similar to that, you know, you have China, you have other smaller countries. Latin America is becoming very popular. It used to be in a negative balance of payment territory. Now it's becoming more popular. But yes, the more you become self-sustenance, the more you are able to export your goods and services into the international market. You earn more forex, and then you become a more stronger economy. There is also a concept which has been developed. The world, or in my own studies that I've understood, is the previous century belonged to probably the Western world, but the present century is going to be to the Eastern world, which is Asian world. So we will become the more strongest. I think all Asian countries put together is much stronger than the Western countries anyways, in terms of both population and in terms of reserves, in terms of abilities. But I think because there are multiple countries out here, so it's not combined together, but there'll be clear winners coming up. There'll be alternate central currencies that might come up, reserve currencies that might come up. There are already talks going on with multiple countries pitching up to the top spot against the dollar. So yes, the more you focus on the international trade, international investments, you will become a stronger economy.
Thank you, sir. Participants, you have any questions, you can ask now. Contentment is a reward of being appreciative and grateful. I now request Dr. Radha, IQAC Coordinator and Head, Department of Commerce, to deliver the vote of thanks.
It was well averted by Mark Twain when he wrote, "Life would be infinitely happier if he could only be born at the age of 80 and gradually approach 18. However, more happiness can still be felt when we express heartful gratitude." Good morning to all who have gathered here for another milestone in our journey of success. Esteemed guest of the day, respected management members, revered principal, and my fellow colleagues from across the globe, I consider it my foremost duty and great privilege to propose the vote of thanks. True guidance is like a small torch in a dark forest. It doesn't show everything, but gives enough light for the next step to say. Quoted by Swami Vivekananda. Such has been the experience in our collaboration with the University of Madras for the 2 days international conference, which has led to a great learning progression. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to Professor Dr. S. Gauri, Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Madras, for providing our institution with this opportunity. A great thanks to Professor Dr. R. Rangarajan, Dean in charge, College Development Council, and Head, Department of Commerce, University of Madras, for commencing 2 days program with this warm welcome speech. Thank you, sir. I thank Mr. M. Manoj Vembu, Chartered Accountant, Founder and Managing Director of VRB Global Private Limited in Singapore, Dr. A. Dhanalakshmi, Professor, School of Foreign Studies, Wenzhou University, China, and Dr. S. Shyam Sundar, Senior Vice President, Breaks India Limited, for having addressed our allied delegates with their notable speeches in the area of their specialization. Thank you, dignitaries, for all the support you have extended to us. Our management always seeks excellence and strive to provide quality and holistic education to our students. At this juncture, I thank the chairman of Krishnaswamy Educational Trust, Thiru M.A.K. Balakrishnan, trustees and director, Tirumadi B. Indrani, Thiru K.B.K. Rajmogan, Thiru K.B. Krishanan, Thiru K.B. Arun, who always encourage us to reach high standards. Our Dean, Dr. R. Revati, our Principal, Dr. Anita Rajendran, are the pillars of support who always motivate us to move forward. Thank you. My sincere thanks to Dr. R. Shanti, Associate Professor, and Dr. S. Yuvaraj and Dr. P.S. Bhuvaneshwari, Assistant Professors and Research Supervisor, Department of Commerce, University of Madras, for their guidance and support at various stages. I thank the Almighty who gave me the opportunity to do this wonderful and satisfying task of Thanksgiving. On behalf of organizing committee, I once again thank you one and all who have contributed to the successful happening of this event. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am, for your words of gratitude.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
The attention of presenters of technical sessions 1, 2, and 3. Technical session will start by 12:30. So presenters, join clearly by 12:15.
Yes, sure.
Kindly use the paper ID given to you as your display name in Zoom meeting. So it would help the track members to differentiate you to which track they'll have to put you into. Once you log into Zoom, you're requested to stay in waiting room until the track in charge allot breakout rooms for you. After they allot, you will get a prompt. Please accept it and join the breakout room. In case of any inconvenience, kindly feel free to put in chat box. We assure immediate attention to your queries. Presenters in track 1, marketing, group 1, can contact Dr. Jeeva Rani or Ms. Rukaya. Presenters in track 1, marketing, group 2, can contact Dr. Sumati or Ms. Durga. Presenters in track 2, HR, can contact Dr. Kritika Maheshwari or Ms. Sharmila. Also, please make a note of session details. Session 1 will be headed by Dr. P.S. Bhuvaneshwari, Assistant Professor and Research Supervisor, Department of Commerce, University of Madras. Session 2 will be headed by Dr. G. Vijay Kumar, Assistant Professor, Research Supervisor, Department of Commerce, Sir Tyagaraya College. Session 3 will be headed by Dr. A.G. Vijayanarayanan, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of Commerce, B.G. Vaishnav College, as well Dr. S.R. Deepa, Executive Director, Amit Business School, Amit University. Once again, I repeat the general instructions. The duration of your presentation would be 7 minutes. Participants, while presenting, kindly concentrate on objectives of your study, findings and conclusions. Panel members' decision would be final, based on which best presenter would be selected. The PPT will be presented by the participants or by the track in charges as instructed in WhatsApp group. Participants, while joining the session, kindly change your name into your paper ID, which has been already sent in WhatsApp group. Thank you. In case if you have any queries, please post it in chat box. We will reply you immediately.